the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 6 o'clock.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Friday Night Live. My name is Abu Bakr Cooper, and I'm joined with my co-host Zafar Iqbal. So big welcome to Luton, Sheffield, Nottingham, Peterborough, Derby, and the Midlands. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it?
It is a mouthful, yeah. Right? You're listening to Inspire FM, by the way, on 105.1 FM locally, and up and down the country via YouTube and other social media, as well as our website and through our partner radio stations. So we've got partner radio stations in Sheffield, Nottingham, Peterborough, etc. So if you're listening from there, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and Friday Mubarak.
Now, folks, we've had really quite a week. Is NATO going to survive? Where is the UK and Europe? Are we going to need to move closer to Europe? Or are we going to stay closely allied with America and Donald Trump? Big questions this week. What do you think, Zaf?
I think they are very big questions, and I think everybody's holding their breath at the moment.
Yeah, scary times.
I'm not sure the quote-unquote allies in Europe are being kept abreast of what's happening in America. So I think they are, in many ways, finding out the news of stuff in real time as it happens, as we do.
I have to say, actually, this has actually been the actual actions that we've seen of the American president this week, not least with what has happened with Venezuela. Literally, the president of Venezuela, and let's face it, it was a kidnapping. And we've now had yet another oil tanker. Well, whether you're going to say it's been stolen or taken control of, exactly. I mean, how does this stand in international law? I'll be honest, I'm not an international lawyer, but thankfully we do have an expert from the University of York today. And so we're absolutely thrilled to have him. We've got Dr. Christopher Featherstone, who is Associate Lecturer in the Department of Politics and International Relations at the University of York. So Christopher, just give you a little bit of information about him. He specializes in foreign policy analysis of the United States, and specifically in presidential decision making. So quite literally, we couldn't have a guest that could actually educate us better than Dr. Featherstone. Dr. Featherstone, a big thank you for us joining us. Honestly, I think we could spend 2 hours asking you questions. Like I said, what's happened this week is nothing short of shocking. First of all, with the kidnapping of President Maduro, I mean, where do you think that stands in international law?
Well, I think the key thing to remember is that international law is not like the domestic law of any country. Unfortunately, it is arguably something that is made by the people it is supposed to police, right? That the international law is essentially made by the people who are supposed to be restricted by international law. So I'm no international lawyer, of course, but I would say that with the case of Venezuela, it's an interesting one. It's one where, because it wasn't explicitly outlawed, it is not completely against international law. However, if the superpower that the United States does not wish to obey certain tenets of international law, or does not wish to obey the kind of norms of behavior that we would all think of as acceptable, then they don't have to. They have the power to essentially disregard international law. The United States has for years not signed up to many of the international laws that we in Britain do sign up to, as many other international partners. And therefore, it is it's incredibly surprising to all of us, maybe, that when we see these kind of actions taken by the United States, it feels outside of the norm, outside of the acceptable. But to the United States, to US citizens, it may not seem as out there as it would to us.
The thing that comes to mind, though, surely, isn't it short-sighted for America? Because inevitably, America has got to. Well, the reality is, politics is about maintaining good trade with other countries. I mean, I've got to say, if I was a world leader, I would 100% be thinking twice of doing anything complicated in trade with America right now. And I think quite rightly so.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I mean, if you're an international partner of the United States, if you are an ally, if you are simply a trading partner, if you're any form of relationship, positive relationship with the United States, you are going to be reevaluating the status of that relationship, right? That it is perhaps not surprising that a country like Venezuela was the target, right? The United States has for a long time had concerns around Venezuela. That is not necessarily the shock that it would be if it were another nation. What is more worrying is that this doesn't seem to be the end, and that is far, far more interesting and far, far more concerning for other partners, right? If you are in Greenland, if you are Danish, and you are thinking that international law may not apply to you, international law may not protect you, it is very understandable that you might feel at risk, and therefore you're going to reevaluate that relationship with the United States. As you said, if there is any potential of that being hurt, of that being impacted in some way, you are probably going to be far more cautious than you would in any other situation, right? It is an entirely understandable thing. And as you said, it shows just how short-sighted this is from Donald Trump, right? That it may in the short term result in a domestic boost most of the time when a US president declares war or carries out some form of military action. There is a polling boost. They usually experience some boost in the polls, and Donald Trump needs it. However, the long-term implications for his administration's relationship with most other international partners is likely to be damaged.
Mm.
I think this is although it sounds shocking, but it's not exceptional. If you remember, back in some years ago, Noriega from Panama was similarly abducted and brought to America, and I think he stood trial on similar sort of charges of drugs-related charges or money laundering type charges, basically. So this has happened before. However, there was a semblance of international acceptability, stroke, an attempt at making it look as though it was a legitimate operation. I think this time, Donald Trump is just playing to the gallery, to be honest. I think that's the key difference. The fact that Donald Trump is full flow, basically. He's not respecting or pretending to respect any norms, etc. And that's the bit that's concerning to many partners, rather than people who are potentially targets. Really, the people who are targets may well have ended up in the same position as Maduro, or may end up in the same position as well. It's just the partners are looking over their shoulders and saying, "Oh, were we taken on board? Did you think about us or what we're going to feel?" That's a bit missing, I think, in this particular scenario.
Absolutely, I agree. I would say it's key to think about the impact of Donald Trump's actions, right? That, as you said, this isn't wholly new in US foreign policy. The US has the ability and has frequently done these kind of acts where they come across as outside of the international norm or the acceptable kind of modes of behavior or outside international law. But as you said, there is usually a way in which they seek to sell acceptability or the justification for what they're doing. And what makes Trump so different and so unusual compared to his predecessors is that, frankly, he doesn't care. He doesn't want to have that veneer of acceptability because he knows he's powerful enough to do it, and that's enough of a reason. Whereas other leaders who would have sought to give a bit of veneer of acceptability, Trump is just happy to be Trump.
For something that's come to mind, though, Dr. Featherstone, is that for America to remain profitable going forward, it needs countries all the way around the world to buy its debt on the bond market.
Yes.
Now, if I was a leader, I would 100% be thinking, okay, if the USA doesn't like me, are they going to first of all, are they going to come after me next? And if they don't like me, are they then going to suddenly decide, based on what I've already seen, decide that, okay, well, we're not going to pay back the UK or whoever because we don't like them, and just default on the bonds that we buy? And I think they're going to. I think long term, this is going to start to. America is shooting itself in the foot, because I think it's going to put people off buying American debt, and this could cause a collapse of their economy, just as the effect of the tariff announcements had 6 to 9 months ago. I mean, it had a catastrophic effect on the markets. And then, of course, we saw the president backing off and saying, okay, no, we won't bring him in straight away. We'll bring it in 3 months, and he kept deferring. They they called him taco, didn't they? Trump always chickens out.
Yeah.
But I think the long term potential ramifications for the American bond market could be quite severe over this. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that's a reasonable take?
Absolutely, and I think it's more damaging because of the impact it has both on countries who wouldn't see themselves as traditional partners of the United States, but equally on allies of the United States too, right? If you are Denmark and you are seeing those kind of calls for the wholesale takeover of a huge area of land with no recourse to democracy, no recourse to international law, nothing like that, why would you participate in a US-led international system? Why would you trust the United States when you have been shown time and again in a Trump presidency that has huge risks? And therefore, why would you financially expose yourself, as you said? And I think a key thing is, where else do you go? Where else do you look for that international leadership? We aren't in a situation where we were in 2003, 2005, those kind of times, when actually the US was arguably the only international superpower who could dominate a region and arguably dominate the globe. Now we have China, we have Brazil, we have India, we have a whole range of nations taking on larger and larger responsibilities on the international stage. And actually, the long-term ramifications may be that people stop looking to the United States for their leadership and start looking elsewhere, having huge long-term impacts on how America seeks to project its power abroad.
I mean, we have the incredible situation. It seems that we're only a heartbeat away from a situation where he sends the troops into fully occupy Greenland. Although, I mean, I did some homework. There's actually a treaty from 1951 where Greenland has given the USA full right to put as many troops as they feel that they need, under the auspices of NATO anyway. So why is he doing this?
Well, it's even more bizarre because Trump, within the last year, has withdrawn more and more troops from Greenland, and then is publicly saying we need to have Greenland so we can put troops there. It is completely utterly dishonest, right? That actually, as you said, there is no limit on the number of American troops that they could deploy into Greenland. Now, obviously, it's not the most hospitable of places, especially at this time of year, so I imagine most of those troops wouldn't be too cheerful about being deployed there. But there is no reason that America cannot just send extra troops if they feel the need. And I think that's what's key here, is that it's part of Trump's assault on truth and his assault on the norms of how we express things in politics, right? There are certain requirements that we have to have an honest, a proper political debate, and that is to accept that there are facts. The facts exist in the world, and actually be honest about them. You can say that you want Greenland because of the resources, which is arguably more likely, but to say it is purely because you want to have the right to deploy troops there and you can't is utterly dishonest. How can you have an international relationship with someone who does not accept the real world and lives in his own fantasy. And I think, looking at the title of our discussion, that is where a huge part of the chaos comes, right? That you don't know what the reality that Trump lives in is going to be at any one time. It depends entirely on how much he's watching Fox News and which lunatic conspiracy theorist has had a chance to have a chat to him that day, which is not a way to conduct business.
Yeah, I think in many ways we're probably giving some ways more credit to Trump, right, than I think he perhaps deserves. A lot of these ideas are probably not his ideas. These are ideas from a collection of people who are on the fringe, basically, who he's surrounded himself with. I think he's quite right. It's not the security aspect of it which interests him and I think people around him in terms of Greenland. It's much more about resourcing, and it may well be. And there is some evidence to suggest, and I think this is him and the people around him exploring some region of Pakistan in terms of resources and doing a personal deal, right, with the government, personal in terms of the Trump family and I think his foreign ministers, secretaries, family. They're buying a stake, right, in certain regions, basically to try and explore that region for minerals. So it may well be that this mineral thing may not necessarily be a government thing. It might be a personal thing, not necessarily by Trump, but perhaps people who are around him who are influential and want to get a piece of that for themselves. So resourcing is probably high on the agenda. The other thing I would say is oil. Venezuelan oil has always been, I guess, on the radar for America. One of
Hello?
To lend itself basically to sort of converting into other things. However, oil is needed because the new AI tech industry needs huge amount of power, huge amount of resources to be able to compete with China. So they will get resources from wherever is necessary in order to stay on top, I would say.
Well, absolutely. And I'd say a key factor is that, number one, Venezuela is considered to sit on the world's largest deposit of oil, untapped, or largely untapped. But the United States also has a huge capacity to drill and to export oil. Well, they are the world's biggest oil exporter now. And actually, that is a huge factor that comes into play. I think you're also right that the sheer amount of power that is required by AI, data centers, and all this kind of jazz is almost unmanageable. Right? You really cannot cap that level of power that they need. But also, I'd say that Trump is living in a 1980s, 1990s kind of world where electronic vehicles are wonderful, fine, they're out there, they exist. Obviously, he doesn't deny that. He was given a Tesla by Elon Musk, but he really likes petrol cars, and he was thinking about selling gas to Americans, and the price of gas being a key measure of how expensive your life is. And therefore, if he has more oil to flood the markets with, he is more likely to be able to bring that oil price down.
Can I ask you, Dr. Featherstone, from a political analytical point of view, it's very clear that our political leadership in the UK, everyone in the Labour front bench will not speak out at all against anything that has happened. But the reality is, in my mind, is that world leaders and especially European leaders, they must be looking at what is going on, and they must have totally lost faith and trust in America. Where do you think this is really realistically going forward, putting European and UK relations with America going forward? I mean, is it as damaging as a lot of us think it is? I mean, I think it's going to be disastrous.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there is the potential for a huge long-term impact here, right? And it's also important to say that this is the culmination of a process of distrust.
We're talking about an ally. This is a country in NATO.
Well,
No,
they
you
are the
just,
country
you know,
who lead NATO, right? They manage all of NATO. They have all the senior leadership roles in NATO. NATO is arguably at their control. We are all willing and happy to have the US dominate NATO. They pay for huge amounts of it. They man huge amounts of it as well. They are an enormous partner, and they are the people who we can rely on. And actually, in the case of Donald Trump right now, we can't rely on him, and it's this factor of it's the unreliableness, right? Like whether you liked American foreign policy or disliked it over the last 30 years, we at least knew where it came from and we knew what to expect, regardless of whether we liked it or not. That's a different thing. But we could at least have a certain level of trust in what was happening and why. And now we can't have that. And now that means that we have to look for other forms of defense. And that is only increasing the cost of our own defense. But also, we know that America could be a threat to European defense, given their focus on Greenland, okay, but also on the rise of extremist far-right parties and the support that American leadership provides them, right? They are willing to speak to far-right Nazis and speak the language of the far-right Nazis across Europe. They are trying to defend those kind of ideals and those beliefs, those anti-Islam, anti-LGBTQ, anti any level of progressiveness that they can possibly find. They are willing to speak to those people who we do not want to be given that kind of platform, right? These people are racists, they are fascists, and actually to have them supported by the US administration is a terrifying, terrifying thing, because how do we diminish that? How do we fight against that?
Indeed.
It makes you think, actually. I mean, of course, the country voted to leave the EU 10 years ago this summer. And I think up until what has happened in the last couple of weeks, we were thinking, oh, it's been a major inconvenience. It's been really difficult. We've had, 5% shrinkage of the economy. I have to say, I'm looking at this now, and it looks like folly that we left the EU, that we're just little UK now on our own, literally at the beck and call to be, bullied by America and do whatever they want. I was absolutely dismayed that we gave logistical support to seize these oil tankers. Another one's been seized today.
Mm.
And we're supporting it.
We're not only supporting it, we're helping them facilitate the seizure, as they call it, of these.
That's exactly what I meant by supporting it. We've actually, given air cover and air intelligence from Prestwick Airport in Scotland.
Absolutely. And I think one of the key things here is to think about where that puts us in relation to our European partners, right? The European partners are looking on him with horror, and I think too. They're not offering that level of support. They are worried. They are seeking ways in which they can align themselves against and balance against that US approach, trying to put down red lines and say where this cannot carry on. And actually, we are actively not helping to do this. And I think it really shows the consequences of Brexit for UK foreign policy. As the European partners, they don't know where we stand, but also we don't know where we stand in terms of foreign policy. Who are we with? Are we with America? Because we don't look like we want to be.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to be Europe? I mean, literally, if you run it off, who's going to be next? Is it Canada? Is it Mexico? Is it Greenland? Is it Colombia? Is it going to be Cuba? I mean, these are all things that have come out of the president's mouth. I mean, what is next?
I think some of it is bluster, to be honest, right? I don't think that America's going to get tangled into wars in multiple fronts, to be honest, right? They are there is madness, I guess, on Donald Trump's side, but people around him, there's a method to their madness, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they're pursuing a strategy, and that strategy, what scares me, I was reading about that today. The strategy is that they see Europe as being on the verge of collapse, civilizational collapse, and this is actually documented in their national security policy. The fact that they don't see Russia as a threat, but they do see the collapse of Europe as a threat, and they see that the enemy in Europe is liberalism, and they will actually seek out and support right-wing elements in order to bolster the civilizational challenge, apparently. And these are words coming from government of the United States, the federal government of the United States, and Trump. And these are not stuff that's coming out from the person who killed lots of people up in Norway. I forgot his name, but yeah, that's not coming. Probably is coming from his manifesto, to be honest, right? But very scary indeed.
Anyway, folks, we're down to like the last 30, 40 seconds. Dr. Featherstone, I'd like to say a big thank you for joining us yet again. And I hope you'll join us again as this develops, because I don't know about you, but I suspect we're going to have a lot more to talk about, I reckon, by next week.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to lose anything to talk about over the next couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to it with horror, but I'm still looking forward to it, I've got to say. But thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah. Anyway, God bless Dr. Featherstone. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, folks, we're at the end of our first half. Please join us in the second half, and we will look forward to speaking to you after this break. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
This program will continue.
First kalima al-tayyibah, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.
Landlords, let us take away the hassle of letting your property. Our comprehensive services include tenant vetting, rent collection and service charges, maintenance and repairs. Ideal Properties has 2 branches and have been established over 20 years and have gained a wealth of knowledge and experience.
If you are thinking of selling or letting your property, then speak to a member of our knowledgeable team about a free, no-obligation market appraisal.
We can also offer guaranteed rental income.
Contact us on either Luton 721110 or 696050. Ideal Properties, service with a smile, whatever your needs.
CYCD is a community facility set in the heart of Bury Park that meets the community's needs. We work with children, young people, and those with learning needs and disabilities. We also work with women offering discreet provision, deliver ESOL classes to adults, and are the lead for the consortium of South Asian wellbeing groups for over 50s. There really is something here for everyone. Come and visit us in person at Bury Park, or visit our website at cycd.org.uk.
Inspire FM on 105.1 FM.
Universal Clutches on Cosgrove Way in Luton offer more than just clutch repairs. We also now cover MOTs, servicing, brakes, suspension, and vehicle recoveries. We've got you covered whether you drive a manual or semi-automatic car, van, or truck. We aim to provide a quick and reliable service, and Universal Clutches are an AA and RAC approved garage. For a reliable service you can trust, call 01582 876 300 or find Universal Clutches on Google, Instagram, and Facebook.
Biscard Pharmacy, your one-stop health and beauty pharmacy in Luton, stockist of over 8,000 health and beauty products. At Biscard Pharmacy, we offer a range of services, including health advice and repeat prescriptions for collection and delivery to your home. We also offer a Hajj and Umrah vaccination. Come in and see us and ask about our Stop Smoking service. We're open 7 days a week till late, including bank holidays. Biscard Pharmacy, 157A Biscard Road, Luton. Call 457709.
Can you imagine a child growing up without the love and protection of their parents? Over 39,000 children in Gaza have lost one or both parents in the most brutal circumstances, and many of them have permanent injuries. Agos UK Al Khidmat Foundation has launched its Gaza Orphan Care Programme. Sponsor an orphan in Gaza for £42 per month or at agosuk.org.
And now, get ready for your new weekly dose of sports talk.
It's Sportscast, the show where we dive into the latest sporting events, the hottest debates, and the legacies that make sports unforgettable. Join us every Monday at 7 p.m. as we break down the action, share our takes, and go head-to-head on the big sporting questions. Sportscast, your new home for sports talk. Don't miss it.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 6:30.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to part 2 of Friday Night Live. Okay, so our next topic, I don't know if you know this, folks, but we've got on 1st of February, there's a day which is called World Hijab Day coming up. And this is, the idea of this is towards encouraging the understanding of the hijab and understanding Muslim women's lived perspectives on it. Now, of course, unfortunately we live in a time where, of course, Islamophobia is rife, and of course, sadly, for us as husbands and dads, you know, I have a daughter that wears hijab, and of course, my wife and mother-in-law and family as well. Of course, they're the first to be targeted with this Islamophobia because they're so visible. And of course, we get workplace discrimination and misrepresentation, of course, in difficulties in media and politics. So we're going to have a guest promoting this with us today. And his name is Dr. Fiaz Hussain. So Dr. Fiaz is a previous spokesperson for the Luton Council of Mosques. He's very prominent in the UK Islamic Mission Organisation, and he currently has the chair with UKIM for Dawah outreach projects for the whole of the UK. So Dr. Fiaz is going to be joining us, and he's going to be talking us about the purpose of World Hijab Day, and exactly what this is going to be promoting. Do we have Dr. Fiaz with us?
He's there. He's there. I can see him.
Oh, there he is. Hello. How are you, Fiaz?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Yourself?
Alhamdulillah. It's good to see you and speak to you. Okay, so World Hijab Day. So, so what is it that as the lead on this for UKIM? What have we got going on?
Well, basically, what we want to do is increase awareness of the importance of wearing hijab. And hijab, of course, often we Muslims related to our religion and our deen, which is right. But hijab is not new. It's not a new thing for Muslims as well. You know, it's also in other faiths as well. All you have to do is look at the mother of Jesus, for example, peace be upon them both, and you will see whether it's in the church or wherever it is, you'll see that she's wearing a hijab. In fact, she's wearing a jilbab, you know, covering the whole body. And
actually,
this is
it's so true. As you know, I've spoken to you before. I retired a couple of years ago. I used to teach in a Catholic high school, and of course, they will have that. And I always remember that they would have actually statues of the Mother of Jesus, Mary, and exactly as you've described, wearing an outfit that resembles the jilbab, and of course, full headscarf. In every picture that you would see in and around the school of the mother of Jesus, may Allah be pleased with her, Maryam. Exactly as you've described,
Exactly. So the initiative is not new. The World Hijab Day has been as an international initiative. I think it's well over 100 countries get involved in it. We in the organization have been participating in recent years. It's been around for 10 years as a concept. So we've been participating for a few years, and now we want to excel it to another level, because I think it's important to highlight the importance that our sisters, our mothers, our daughters have the right to wear a hijab. without being discriminated, without any other foul or false language that often occurs, unfortunately, in some cases. And also to champion diversity. We need to champion diversity, and we're asking for people of all faiths and all backgrounds to come and join. In fact, the tagline for this year is Unity in Hijab. So coming together, celebrating what is the best. And the best, I mean, as you know, freedom of choice is not given by men, it's given by our Creator to everybody. And I think women have every right to wear what they want, when they want, and how they want to dress. And that includes them wearing a hijab.
Yeah. And sad thing is, I don't know about you, but I've always come across this perception from the media, and how you will have presenters on TV and radio speak. They always have this idea that it's the father or the husband, it's the men in the family forcing them to wear it. I mean, and it's just not true, is it?
It's not. I think after I don't know whether it's laugh or to cry. I think it's total misunderstanding. I think that's the point of this initiative, is that we want to actually champion that. One of the things we will be doing and are doing is effectively going to be offering free hijabs to people of other faiths and people, even Muslims, new Muslims, brothers and sisters, I should say, not brothers, and also to traditional born Muslims, if they so wish. So everybody, if they want to wear a hijab, need a hijab, then we will be offering that free, inshallah.
I mean, it's interesting what you said about offering the hijab, and I think that is the key way we need to think of it. I mean, I've sometimes been asked, because of my background as a teacher, sometimes people will say to me, "Oh, look, my daughter's not doing this, and how can I get my daughter to wear it?" And they're often surprised by the angle that I take. And I will always say to them, and I said, never be tough, never be harsh. I said, and I always say, encourage.
Yeah.
So I'll say, explain to them that it's something that is compulsory. And I said, and encourage them with this angle. And I say to them, look, if it's something compulsory, why would you want to miss out on all that reward? And I'll say to them, look, it's not a reward we can get as men because it's not something that is compulsory for us. But if it's something compulsory for you, if you don't do it, you're missing out on the reward of doing it. Why would you want to miss out on the reward from Allah and not do it? It makes sense to do it because then you're getting that additional reward. And that's what I always say, always think on the angle of promoting and boosting confidence rather than making the person fearful. That is the key thing that we need to think of.
Exactly, you hit the nail. The thing is, we think about halal, and when we talk about halal, we often focus on meat. But halal and doing good extends to praying, fasting, and giving things. And hijab and wearing a dress, just for men as well as for women to wear the modest dress, is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as our creator, has actually stipulated. And I think we should see it as a bridge towards getting closer to the Almighty. That's the way to look at it. And I think as far as wearing the hijab is concerned, it's a personal choice. There are instructions, there are ways of actually wearing hijab. And of course, hijab is worn in different ways across different countries and Muslim countries, and so people do have that choice. But I think it's not just wearing a garment here; it's really the whole body and the system as well. Turning towards Allah, and once you turn towards that direction, then everything comes automatically, and you make that choice. And it's a personal choice; you can't be forced on anyone.
No, of course not. Of course.
And the thing also to remember really is that although this day is trying to sort of mark World Hijab Day, and hijab is a piece of cloth really, but really what you're saying is the person who's wearing it. That's the focus really. That's the focus in the sense that there are women who choose to wear the hijab and want to be sort of faithful to their faith. There is the reason for having this day really in my mind is to look at the pressure on them and look how they feel and how they are being treated, etc., and to encourage those who stick to their faith and give them an element of that support that I think they deserve. They go through a lot, to be honest, right? Because in the current society, current atmosphere they will live under, they're the visible targets, and there are many situations that they have to sort of go through and bear in order to be faithful, to their religion. And that's the thing for me, marks the day. It's a piece of cloth, yes, but it's the person who's wearing it. I think for me, that's the key.
Exactly. It's empowering our sisters, like I said earlier. It's empowering our sisters, mothers and daughters in order to actually, if they wish to actually wear a hijab, then they should have that choice, and they should do so without any fear and without any discrimination, without any hatred. And we want to, there's a lot of misunderstandings outside. It's not just the hijab, of course. There's other things as well about Islam and Muslims. But this is a symbol that's often used by media and by other outlets, somehow to actually, put it in a negative way rather than a positive way. So what we want to do is actually to build those bridges of understanding, so that people understand why people wear hijab and why it's common and should be common both in Christianity and Islam, and I guess in Judaism as well.
Indeed, and many other cultures, to be honest. Right?
Yes. I'm sorry. I mean, I think it's a sign of respect. I think most people see it as modesty. Is seen. I mean, even in this country, many years ago, not many years ago, people were. I mean, women.
I remember it. I remember that the older ladies back in the late 70s and 80s, whenever they went out, they used the scarf. They used to put the scarf on their heads, and they used to go out. I remember it quite.
Yeah, it's just the picture has been painted. It's been quite negative. What we want to do is actually show it in a different light, in its true light.
And it is, to be honest, in many ways, this pressure or discrimination, right, in many countries in Europe is state-led, and you see Portugal being the latest country to ban the hijab in public spheres, basically. And this is, and the article I read in the online basically had the picture that we talked about of Hazrat Maryam al-Islam wearing the hijab, and the article really was that Portugal, a deeply Catholic country, deeply religious country, is going to have to perhaps re-educate the population that this article that they are banning was worn by somebody they adore.
Well, exactly, and I think this is the common denominator, the fact that is there. I think the other thing we have to be mindful is that there's also a misunderstanding in the words hijab, jilbab, and niqab, and often because the Arabic words and often the people who are not Arabic speakers they get confused. Or intentionally otherwise, they get confused in terms of what all three are, and all three are not the same thing, as we know. So when we're talking about hijab, people think it's the niqab you're talking about, which is obviously the face covering, and so on. So there's a mix up of that. So we want to actually improve. We want to make people aware. It's just a piece of cloth, and it's something that women. All women should have the choice of wearing, just like any other clothes they wish to wear. And it's for Muslims, it's the instruction from God Almighty, as it says in the Holy Quran in chapter 33, verse 59, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is instructing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that instruct your wives, your daughters, and the believing women to have a cloth over their body to cover their body. So it's very clear, So, I mean, this is a bridge towards the Creator, and those who want to be close to the Creator will obviously choose that bridge.
So, February the 1st, is the day. Have you got an event planned or some way of? You mentioned that you were going to distribute them. So, what is that you've got planned, Dr. Fiaz?
So, what we're doing at this moment in time, we're encouraging everybody to register with us, so that we know who's actually coming. We actually produced a guide in terms of some of the things, activities that could be done. We are not going to have a national event in that way. It's going to be a localized event.
Okay, and what we are where is that local event going to be, Dr. Fiaz?
Sorry?
Where is that local event going to be?
Well, it's across the country. As you know, UKIM has branches from Portsmouth all the way to Glasgow. So, inshallah, we will have it across the country. But this is not just about UKIM. We're asking all organizations, Muslim organizations, as well as masjids, to come forward and to do their own thing. And if they need support from us, that's fine. Otherwise, it's really empowering all the sisters as much as we can. So we're looking at stalls, we're looking at competitions, we're looking at workshops, seminars, anything that we can actually feel that actually will bridge that gap between the real understanding and the misunderstanding. We're encouraging that, and any other initiatives that localities may have. So we are, it's not the case of we're going to have a big bang approach where we have a big event. That's not going to happen. We're looking at localized events that will have impact and that will invite other people of other faiths who may wish to actually join in, because it's unity in hijab is the tagline, like I said earlier. So it's important that that happens.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you for joining us. And listeners and people watching, keep a lookout for things to do with World Hijab Day on the 1st of February. And well, let's all of us as Muslims do our best to support it. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Fiaz, thank you for joining us. Masalama.
Wa alaikum salam, and thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay. Right, would you like to introduce the next bit?
I can do.
Our next topic.
So we're moving on to a slightly different topic. Again, it's all related to voluntary works and charitable works, essentially. So we're going to talk about another project, basically, which is in the community, an event that's happening in the Crescent Hall on the 24th of January, and it's by the Amana Project.
I have to say, it's quite a catchy title.
Yeah, so you can read that out. If you like.
Yeah. So the strap line of this event is, "Who are you when no one is watching?" Makes you think, doesn't it? Connecting with Allah, and are you doing what you're supposed to be?
But you missed out the most important bit: sincerity. Who are you when no one is watching?
Well, but that's not part of the strap line.
It is. Well, it says there. Anyway, we're going to talk to Saeed Abdurrahman. He's the CEO of Etar Relief. And you can introduce the rest of it if you like.
Yeah, and Sister Madiha. So we've got Sister Madiha joining us. She's the founder of the Amana Project. So this is a voluntary-led community initiative, and it's rooted in the belief that all of humanity and creation are a trust, an amana, and the project focuses on community building, charity fundraising, impactful events, and direct aid delivery. The Amana Project is hosting this event locally in Luton at the Crescent Hall on Saturday the 24th. And as Zafar said, quote, "Sincerity, who are you when no one's watching?" Okay, so if we and secondly, of course, we've got Syed Abdurrahman. He's the CEO of Etar Relief, which has over 30 years experience in charity and the voluntary sector. So Syed is a chemical engineer by profession, and he's a youth worker, teacher, Islamic lecturer, motivational speaker, and he also serves as an imam. He's got a lot of things under his belt.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very talented brother, inshallah. Yeah. So welcome to the show, inshallah, both of you.
Welcome, both of you. Salam.
Thank you. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, so Madiha, would you like to perhaps take us through the evening that you're having on the 24th, and we'll leave it to you to describe to us, inshallah.
Thank you so much, firstly, for inviting us on the show. It's such an honor. Alhamdulillah. So the event that we've got coming up on Saturday, 24th of January, is an event for the whole community, brothers, sisters, families, children. We've got two amazing speakers. One of our own, Luton's very own, Brother Dowie, who's, I believe, got a show as well with Inspire FM, goes by Al Ujal Fitness, does amazing work in the community. And we've also got Muslim Bilal, so two really, really famous figures in the community. And like you guys mentioned, they're going to be discussing who are you when no one's watching. an amazing topic for anyone, and I think everyone who's on social media and also really believes in the sincerity of the work that they're doing, any good deeds, especially as Muslims. And I think especially in the era that we're in right now with social media, a perfect topic for us to delve into just before Ramadan. And again, it's going to happen at the Crescent Hall, which most of you guys will know, an amazing venue. Tickets are just £10, and all the funds that we raise on the night are going to be going directly to Iftar Relief to support our brothers and sisters in East Africa. So yeah, make sure you guys come along, inshallah. It's going to be a great evening.
So, a little bit about the what's actually, I mean, we talk about the theme basically, right? But a little bit about what's going to happen on the day. Is it going to be a bazaar there as well? Is it just talks? Is it any more?
Yeah, so we're going to have both. So we're going to have the talks, the speeches, but also we're going to have a range of stalls as well for people to browse in, especially because with us, we love to support small, local Muslim businesses that are doing amazing things. So a lot of people have messaged us as well saying, is there food? Of course, there's going to be food. There's going to be refreshments. We're also going to have an auction as well at the event, which is always everyone's favorite part. There's some amazing prizes for everyone to win. And again, it's all just going to go to charity, which will be amazing.
So, and perhaps we need to talk a little bit about Iftar Relief and where that huge amount of money that you're going to raise on that day is going to end up. We've still got Brother Saeed Abdurrahman, and any projects that you've got in mind, perhaps that all this project is going to fund. Perhaps he's dropped off. Brother Saeed, is he there?
Oh, there.
I think we might have lost him.
We've lost him.
So maybe a little bit about the charity itself. If you
Yeah, of course. So Iftar Relief, specifically this charity, so myself and another incredible volunteer from Amana Project, Fozia, we actually visited Djibouti in East Africa with Iftar Relief. So after coming back from that deployment, essentially everything that we raise will be going towards different projects in Djibouti. One of the projects there is from a school/orphanage that we visited called Al Khair Complex. So possibly one of the projects that we're going to be raising for is going to be actually going towards a football pitch for the children over there. A lot of the kids are orphans that we met, and the school is very beautiful, but a lot of the children, they actually live in slums just outside the school. So when we were there, we just realized, especially myself, I'm a primary school teacher by profession, so I know very much that kids, they need something to entertain themselves, to actually fully function even in their studies. So when we were seeing the kids, a lot of them, some of them play with like plastic water bottles. So when we were there, I just thought it might be for a lot of people just quite a small project, but I know for those children, if they see an actual football pitch in their school that they can have at their break times, is going to benefit them massively.
Indeed, it is. Brother Saeed, are you on a call? I can see perhaps you may be on a call. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about Djibouti. Why Djibouti? Maybe. If not, Madiha, perhaps you can. Why Djibouti? Why not West Africa?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So Djibouti was one country I never thought in a million years that I'd ever visit. But that's just it. When we went there, we realized so many people over there have been forgotten. You usually hear like the buzzwords, and of course, as it should be, like Palestine, Sudan right now. You might have Lebanon, Palestinian refugees, Syrian refugees. Our brother Saeed's back, so he'll be perfect to discuss it.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Salam alaikum.
We can hear you now.
Welcome back, Saeed.
Oh, thank you. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you.
We'll just say why Djibouti. So
why Djibouti? Why the Horn of Africa? Why those forgotten refugees? Lots of why. Basically, we work in areas where we have refugees that are completely forgotten. Those are the grandchildren of Al-Nagashi, of Bilal ibn Rabah, of Sumayya, the country and the region that welcomed the Prophet ﷺ companion when they were tortured in Mecca 1400 years ago. So that was their safe refuge area. So we work on those areas. And Djibouti is part of that area, but Djibouti accommodate and host large number of refugees from across the region, from Ethiopia, Somalia, Yemen, Eritrea, Sudan. So many refugees from the surrounding area comes into Djibouti, but unfortunately the international support is very weak. And Alhamdulillah, Jazakumullah Khair, Amana Project and the sisters, they've done amazing work joining us during the trip, Alhamdulillah, and it was great to have them. and they are committed to some wonderful project. Actually, during the visit, they managed to support 30 women with full training, and they own their own sewing machines. They are independent today. They are proud to stand on their feet. And we're looking forward, inshallah, for further collaboration with Amana and the like of Amana, inshallah.
Inshallah. So Madiha, this event that you're hosting, is it a charity led or is it an event, an educational event? And the charity partner, I guess, is just a beneficiary, right? It's because it's useful to have, to work with somebody. Is it an educational thing or is it a more fundraising type of thing? What's the reason for it? Got about 45 seconds, unfortunately. So
okay, 45 seconds. I'll give it to you. I just say simply it's an amana. Like, I don't think there's a specific reason we do this other than our brothers and sisters, they're an amana. We met Ifad Relief and we believed in their work. I've worked with lots of Muslim charities, but Ifad Relief just do such incredible work, especially for our forgotten brothers and sisters. So people are going to get educated, yes, but the sole reason that you come there is not just to, hear Muslim Bilal, Brother Dawi, but it's also to give back to people and see those deeds multiplied in the next life, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Well, that's perfectly said. Jazakallah Madiha, and Brother Saeed, Jazakallah for your commentary today. And
thank you.
Thank you very much for hosting us. Jazakallah.
This is the end of the show today, inshallah. Until next week. Assalamu alaikum.
Gerard.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam.